episode Suds, SpongeBob falls asleep with his fridge open. SpongeBob must have a very, very powerful fridge because when he wakes up, his house is extremely cold. So much so that various items are encased in ice. Talk about a frosty reception. Sorry about that. Items like his television are covered in ice. Somehow, his fireplace with fire is frozen as well. It's too dark in here. The eyes and ears do very different things when it comes to the senses. Ears do the hearing, eyes do the seeing. Yeah, we went to school. Unlike Patrick, it seems. Unless he has really weird biology. But yeah, we're probably overthinking it. We keep droning on. Bikini Bottom is in the sea. So the carrot needs to breathe oxygen. Her house is a tree that is also covered by a large capsule filled with breathable air. It's called the tree dome, FYI. One of the key parts of Sandy's suit is a giant helmet. It keeps the perils through the glass helmet. Seems like Sandy may have some relation to the X-Men hero Kitty Pryde. We were treated to SpongeBob's morning routine in the 2004 SpongeBob SquarePants movie. We also saw what Squidward gets up to in the morning. As he's in the shower and singing away, he gets interrupted by SpongeBob. The yellow sponge is scrubbing Squidward's back whilst singing along. Only Squidward isn't wearing anything while SpongeBob is fully dressed. To be fair, it may be a little more disturbing for Squidward if SpongeBob wasn't wearing anything either. But regardless, it's a little weird to shower with clothes on. It defeats the object of washing, really. We're not sure how a shower is possible underwater as well. Earlier on, SpongeBob also shows that his clothes are essentially made of cardboard. How is that not a problem underwater? In some way, we all look like our parents. Whether it's similar nose, eyes, or mouth, we all share some form of resemblance. Unless your offspring is SpongeBob, it seems. His parents barely look like him at all. Maybe due to their age, their spongy bodies have gotten brown over time. SpongeBob's father looks more like a potato than a sea sponge. The resemblance definitely isn't uncanny. However, there is a family member that does look a lot like our cackling sponge. That person being the aptly named Stanley Sponge. Stanley is SpongeBob's cousin. It's bizarre that a somewhat distant relation looks more like SpongeBob than his own parents. Here we go again, back at the weird water within water rules. In the episode Mermaid Pants, we're shown Squidward as he waters his plants next to a weird fountain of himself. SpongeBob's neighbor is known for his love of his flower garden, which SpongeBob has been known to accidentally destroy on occasion. His plants already exist in water, making the whole watering thing rather pointless. Ignoring that it's salt water, a watering can won't be able to pour water on anything as the can is already submerged. We at Screen Rant tested this out. We tried to water a plant that was submerged in water in our research for this video, for science. It wasn't successful. Patrick isn't the only Bikini Bottom resident to confuse his eyes and ears, it seems. Mr. Krabs keeps himself in tip-top shape by exercising. As he exercises in this clip, he listens to music. Music can help motivate the exerciser to keep going. It's handy that way. So he places his headphones onto his head to not disturb other people. They are neatly placed on the sides of his eyes so he can enjoy the music. Yep, his eyes. Mr. Krabs doesn't seem to have ears per se. At least none that are visible, making his eyes the next best thing apparently. Perhaps his ears are contained inside his giant eyes? No idea, but this is a pretty nifty trick. How can a crab be the father of a whale? In the real world, it's impossible. Crabs are tiny and whales are massive. There's no chance they could breed at all. But that's the actual family dynamics for Mr. Krabs and his teenage whale daughter, Pearl. None of the bikini... How it's possible that one sea creature can produce a completely different sea creature in their offspring? They all accept that it's just the way it is. It does turn out, thanks to SpongeBob's trivia book of all places, that Pearl's mother is a whale. But Eugene is somehow still a farm, even though Pearl has some features. Maybe Mr. Tiring. But in order to Vulcan, trying to get him outside, finally culminating in her having Patrick dress up as a gorilla and his name's Doodlebob. Doodlebob promptly comes to terrorize his maker, however, attempting to erase him from the world so that he might take his place. Spongehenge is surely one of the series' weirdest episodes overall. In it, we watch SpongeBob take refuge in a cave after being chased down there by jellyfish in a deadly windstorm. He slowly starts to lose his mind in here as he holds himself up away from these dreaded creatures. He starts to lose himself, talking to his own reflection in a shiny rock in the cave. Eventually, he goes totally bonkers and begins to carve a real mirror image statue of himself from the same rock. Before he knows it, he is talking to this rock version of himself. In the same episode, SpongeBob eventually comes to make a number of these sponge statues and realizes circle, they form a lovely harmony that jellyfish from all over adore. This new monument comes to be known as Spongehenge. If the premise of designing musical sponge statues to appease jellyfish isn't a weird enough premise to digest in itself, a flash forward jumps ahead 3,000 years later as a fleet of three-eyed aliens float around Spongehenge, explaining that no one knows the monument's origins, but that it causes the migration of jellyfish. In season 9 episode, Salsa Imbecilius, the show makes a big show of Patrick's dumbness. Plankton discovers he can make idiot sauce, or Salsa Imbecilius, by adding Patrick's saliva as an ingredient. He plans to give it to Mr. Crab in the hopes of obtaining the secret formula, but when the salsa rolls out the chimney and gets absorbed into a nearby rain cloud, it pours all over Bikini Bottom. The only ones not affected by the sauce are only able to get everyone back to normal by teaching them an entire university education. When Mr. Krabs, famous for his money-hungry ways, gets condemned to be generous for the rest of his life. After Mr. Krabs desperately tries to sell a stash of rotten Krabby Patties to his customers, he loses a ton of business. He also ends up in the hospital when he eats one himself. The Flying Dutchman traps him in Davy Jones' locker and condemns him to be generous from then on out. Fans were then treated to the better part of an episode watching Krabs behave uncharacteristically open-handed. Another weird moment from the series centers on SpongeBob falling in love with a rotten patty that all of his customers reject. Sometimes the wackiness of the SpongeBob series can be seen not in characters defying their usual personalities, but in the extent to which they will take characters' already weird personalities. Fans will be familiar with the over-enthusiastic, workaholic way that SpongeBob approaches his job at the Krusty Krab. But this episode takes it memorably far, showing SpongeBob take the burger out on a date and then sing it a long romantic ballad that takes up much of the episode. The usually super sarcastic, cynical Squidward experiences a head injury and suddenly comes to think of himself as a newborn baby. The doctor pronounces that Squidward is afflicted with a condition called Boom-Boomitis and charges SpongeBob and Patrick with taking care of him. It is beyond bizarre to see these two usually infantile characters be given the role of caregiver to someone like Squidward. It's not until he falls into an ice machine that Squidward is returned suddenly to his usual self. Squidward accidentally locks himself in a walk-in freezer at the Krusty Krab after desperately trying to find a place to play his clarinet in solitude away from SpongeBob. When he can't get out, he ends up being frozen for 2,000 years. Much to Squidward's despair, it's the futuristic Spongetron who rescues him, a SpongeBob-esque cyborg who is only one of 486 clones. This is as weird an idea for fans as it is dreadful for Squidward. Of course, Squidward desperately wishes to return to his own time when he learns of the 486 SpongeBobs, compared to his time's just one, so they point him to a nearby time machine, which ends up taking him too far into the past. Here, he encounters a caveman-esque SpongeBob and Patrick, whose memeably goofy illustration and primitive rage at Squidward's clarinet playing are both memorably weirder than usual aspects to an overall weirder than usual episode. The weird moments for this episode don't stop there. Squidward barely makes it back to the time machine, but when he does, he finds he can't control it and ends up crashing in a mysterious dimension of pure emptiness. He wanders around, at first claiming to be glad that he finally reached a quiet place to play his clarinet, but slowly becomes tormented by the sound of the mysterious voices that populate this realm, who keep repeating the word alone without stop. Squidward's existentialist break is definitely one of the most absurd moments of the series. Another episode with a dark, absurdist tone is the famous Squidward in Clarinet Land of Season 7. Squidward discovers a secret door in the storage locker at the Krusty Krab. Entering a mysterious forest made of clarinets, there is an ominous, extremely creepy severed eagle head there that greets him. Tells him he has come to teach him how to grant peace to clarinets and to learn that they cannot be owned. When Squidward, understandably terrified, claims to know how to respect clarinets, the so-called keeper doesn't believe him and swallows him. The super weird story continues in this episode when, after being swallowed, Squidward finds himself desperately chasing SpongeBob for his clarinet, eventually running him into a giant pinball machine. He encounters a giant version of Patrick here, who insists that it's the pressure that they haven't been stranded at all. The Krusty
conveniently happens to have a machine that does just that. For the rest of the episode, fans watch Plankton take the role of Mr. Krabs, celebrate naturally instead of exploring the scientific ramifications of snowflakes and the